Hey guys! So it's a little bit too early in the morning to start with the loud power tools. So I am going to do a job that I've promised myself I'm going to be better at this year, and that is fertilizing. So we're in the start of spring. The fruit forest is starting to do its thing. I've got some blooms, I've got some fruit. It's going to be wonderful. But I really failed at fertilizing them last year, and because they're all in pots, they really do need me to come along and fertilize them because they can't draw anything out of the ground. So today I'm going to start with the strawberries. Now some of them did die last year. I got a couple of big heat patches and the watering system failed at one point. So I'll go through all of the strawberry pots, which are these grey ones along the wall. I will fertilize all of them, and I'm going to just kind of have a look at each of them as I go and see if there's any live strawberries left in that pot. If there is, keep going. If not, I will just move that pot on to something else. So let me show you how I'm going to do it. I've got a bit of a setup going on here, which is everything I want to use. First of all, I have my power feed, which is sea soil and fertilizer, and I've got that in a bucket because what I want to do is I want to really soak these strawberry pots because they have not had anything for a long time. So I'm going to put the pot in here and then pour more power feed over the top of it. Then what I'll do is I'll get the pot out and I'll just sit it on one of these lids, and the reason I'm going to do that is because more water will come out, and rather than just putting that into the shitty grass, I will then be able to pour it back into the tub and reuse, so saving water. Then I have some slow release fertilizer and some compost, which I will top dress all of the pots with. So let's get started. So I'm going to really soak these plants a lot more than I normally would if I was just watering them in situ, like on the wall. And the reason I'm doing that is, as I said, they haven't been watered in a while. There's been like plenty of rain, so that's fine, but they haven't had a good fertilize for a while. So I'm going to make sure that the water's getting really soaked through with that. I'll just leave them in here now, soaking in the sea salt solution as well. So they've had sea salt, or power feed, sorry, coming from the top and also soaking up from the bottom, weeds. And I'll just leave them in here for maybe 5 minutes just to get a little bit more in, and then I'll transfer them onto the lid to capture any water that comes out, and then give them a bit more fertilizer, and that's it. Now that they've had their power feed bath, all I'm going to do is just take a small handful of the slow release fertilizer. That will just make sure that, weeds, that will just make sure that they keep getting a nice feed throughout the season. If I do forget to fertilize them. And I will also top dress with some compost, and what I'm using today is the sea salt compost. I used it last year for a top dress, and I just thought that it did a really nice job. It's nicely granulated, not too thin. I've used the Osmocote for compost before, and that's very, very fine, which I quite like for some applications, but I feel like for outdoor pots, this sea salt one works much better. I don't need too much, just a fine layer. And again, the reason I put the compost on is because compost adds some nutrients to the soil as well, and is just another way of giving some love to the plants. If these strawberries produce as well as they have the last seasons, I will be getting a beautiful crop, and they're fresh, they're delicious, they're sweet. Why wouldn't you want to look after the plants that do that for you? that's it. They look nice and fresh again. I did groom these, take off all of the dead stuff in autumn or winter, so I don't need to do much of that. But these look beautiful now. They look nice and refreshed. They've had a really good drink and a really good fertilize, and my goal now is just to stay on top of it. And from now on, I don't need to do the big soak. I'll probably do it again mid-season. I can just come along once a week or once a fortnight with the watering can with power feed or sea salt, and just give it a water like you normally would. So I'm gonna pop these back on the wall and keep going with the project. It shouldn't take me too long, and that's another thing then ticked off the list. Bye guys.